All right. What is hemp?
What is
What
hemp?
are we talking about hemp? Because so whenever I thought of hemp, I always thought that like there's cannabis that you're smoking at high. That's like one type of plant, and then hemp would be like a completely different type of plant. That's always like until probably like a year or two ago,
Mm,
I never knew it was the exact same plant. There's
mm,
no difference. Well, there's molecular differences behind them, but there's no actual like this is one plant, this is another plant.
mm. And and with me, I guess before this year, I always thought hemp was just the male cannabis plant.
Mm,
Personally, like I always saw it as cannabis that people smoke is
the
the
female,
female
yeah,
plant,
yeah.
and hemp, industrial hemp, is the male plant. But even that, is
It's wrong.
yeah,
It's wrong. I mean, it's not complete. It's not as wrong as I was, but it's
still
still
wrong.
still wrong.
Yeah, and a common misconception, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I've actually researched it recently. I've looked up like what is hemp in Google, and usually there was like these like cannabis sites that kind of gave us the same answers as we just gave you throughout the years. But like I googled it 2 days ago. It's on point now. They've updated everything. Like
Right.
everyone knows what actually hemp is. So if you would look it up in Google, you'll get that response, which is what is hemp doing?
Industrial hemp is a low THC variety of cannabis sativa.
Do we know how low? Like, what are we?
Well, it depends on what country.
Yeah.
That's the confusing part. Where is the line drawn? In reality, I guess is an interesting question because like all we really have to classify hemp as is in Australia, it's I believe anything under 0.3% THC,
Hmm.
and I think in the US it's under 1% THC.
Yeah, wow.
So,
Yeah.
but regardless of that, like the confusion comes when we start realizing that you need like 7% THC in cannabis when smoking it to get high from it in the
Ah,
first place.
right.
And obviously that would like vary depending on body weight and all that sort
Hmm.
of stuff, but around 7%. So there's no reason that we shouldn't have hemp that can test above 1%,
Like,
you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like
Like,
2, 3%. Okay, so what are we talking here?
yeah.
Like, what is like the span for like cannabis of getting high? Like, what is the THC content at the moment? Like, how high does it get? Like, what are we comparing it to? Like, what,
What do we man, there's flower that's getting above 30% THC content
and
now.
that's like high range,
Like
kind of like.
we're talking like 30% of this flower is THC. Like
Okay.
it's just THC.
Yeah.
How crazy is
Now,
that?
is THC is that only in the actual bud or is that in the entire plant?
Most of the THC from what I've read is contained on the trichomes, which are the frosty bits on the outside of the plant. I'm
Right.
not too sure how much is contained within like the plant matter itself.
Right,
Yeah,
right. So it's basically kind of like a coating of THC of the plant,
yeah,
more or less.
yeah,
Yeah.
more or less.
Okay. All right. Well, so industrial hemp. So that is where we draw the distinction. You can't just call it like really hemp because hemp is the same plant. That.
It's pretty crazy though because like over in the US they're getting hemp that looks frosty like high THC cannabis now too.
Oh,
So
really? Shit.
it's like
Are we swearing on this? I,
swearing.
I think
Oh
we'll keep it
no, I
like
think
mild.
yeah, our parents are probably watching, so
So yes.
so yeah.
um, yeah. Okay. So they're getting.
No, we need to keep it suitable for work. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. So we got that. Anyway, so industrial hemp. Now, why do we call it industrial hemp and not just hemp? Do you have any like idea of it?
Personally, I guess I like to call it industrial hemp because that's what we use it for, industrial
Industrial
purposes,
purposes. Yeah.
not nutrition or medicine or recreational or anything like
Hmm.
that. So I guess that's the way that I just look at it. But
Yeah.
most people do just call it hemp.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm guessing like somewhere online you can probably find like precise definitions. But I
And
think that makes sense though, like, right? No one would grow just hemp for the sake of non-industrial purposes. Like, they'd probably turn it into something consumable for like yourself or someone else,
true.
I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't imagine what part of the plant can't be consumed. So,
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
and
Just imagine
if
someone just chewing on like a hemp stalk, like panda style. um, yeah.
no, even the biomass, the leftover bits after like people are growing for seed or CBD and stuff. There's a huge thing in the US right now where everyone growing for CBD just has like
Mm.
tons of biomass left over from harvest that
And growing for CBD to like narrow it down, that's growing the non-hemp variety, I guess. That would be like
no.
more like marijuana style.
Mm,
Well, okay, so
well,
what it
what do you?
let's
That's
let's break it down. What is the difference between hemp and marijuana? You know, we kind of have to address that, right?
the difference is
The THC
the
content,
THC.
right?
It's as simple as that. Yeah,
Yeah,
the THC. It's not the gender of the plant. It's not
yeah.
anything. Like it grows differently in different geographical locations,
And
but
the growing process is so like the buds are obviously what you smoke to get high, right? And that's only grown by the female plant when it's infertile. Is that correct?
well, the
Even fertile ones?
yeah, even cannabis plants that have been pollinated and have started to grow seed,
Hmm,
it only loses like 50% of its cannabinoid content.
right.
So, from my understanding, you still get flower from it, just not as much.
Yeah, right.
Like nowhere near as much, of
And
course.
that
But
flower will be like under 0.3%
well,
THC.
that's the problem. Like that's why they have to. From my understanding, that's why they have to have like um, separate separate breeds specifically for industrial purposes
Hmm.
because like they've anything can be any cannabis plant can be used for industrial purposes, but when it comes to the cannabinoid content, you have to keep it low.
Yeah, yeah, right. Right. Okay. Well, it's probably not as complicated as we make it sound, but it probably is
Well,
kind of as
it's
complicated.
it's an interesting discussion, I think,
Hmm.
because the only real like outlines we have are the legal definitions that have been skewed for so long
Yeah,
that have just
right.
been
There's just not enough
understand. They haven't,
understanding in
yeah.
it. Yeah, it's just become popular within like the past couple of years. Another interesting thing I want to bring up. I read we posted like this kind of fact sheet style post on Instagram a few months ago, and it was from an article that I found in the US where a judge had to throw out um, a case where a young guy got caught with like possession of marijuana, like he had buds that you smoke, and then the judge had to throw it out because they had to test the bud whether it was below the threshold of what's considered hemp or not. And because their facilities aren't really like prepared to do that kind of thing, the judge was like, "No, screw it. You can just go. We can't really find out whether this is like illegal cannabis or legal cannabis.
Mm,
I'm guessing it still got confiscated, but you know, it's it's a gray area at the moment.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the tests are becoming easier, so that from when I read that article, it was the fact that there were so many tests that had to be done that their system was just completely backed up with them.